Welcome to another movie plot. It opens with a space shuttle adrift with only a single passenger on board. Ellen Ripley waits patiently inside a cryo chamber until getting intercepted by a salvage vessel. They cut their way inside and enter to find Ripley contained in hypersleep as the only survivor of a deep space massacre. She's taken to a station orbiting Earth to recover, and regains consciousness in the medical bay when receiving a visit from a representative of her employer. Burke gives her the terrible news that she's been adrift for 57 years and that her daughter died 2 years ago at the age of 66. Ripley begins to feel distressed when a creature starts pushing its way out of her stomach, but she wakes up having just experienced a nightmare. Sometime later, Ripley's employer conducts an investigation into what happened to the rest of her team. The survivor explains that an alien killed her entire crew, forcing her to destroy it and escape in the shuttle. With no evidence of this, they treat her as if she's mentally unstable, so Ripley demands they return to the planet that they picked up the alien from to prove her story, but learns that it was already colonized 30 years ago without any problems so far. We jump to the alien planet where dozens of families have established the colony of Hadley's Hope. Like Ripley, they're all employees of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and survey the stormy planet's surface for any archaeological finds. One family's exploring and comes across the derelict spacecraft originally found by Ripley 60 years ago. The planet's now terraformed enough to travel without breathing apparatus, and the adults investigate further. They leave behind their daughter Rebecca with her brother to go explore, but quickly return to radio for help when an alien facehugger attaches to Dad's head. Meanwhile, Burke visits Ripley to announce that they've lost contact with the planet just like she warned them. He's accompanied by Lieutenant Gorman, who requests that Ripley join his team of Colonial Marines to be their guide in searching for survivors. In fear of an alien being responsible, Ripley refuses as she dreads returning to the planet. She continues to have nightmares of what happened and eventually calls Burke, feeling she needs to return for closure.
All right, I'm in.
He assures her that their mission's to eradicate any aliens and not to capture them, so she agrees to assist. They travel through deep space by way of the warship Silico and wait patiently inside their cryopods. When they awaken from cryosleep, Sergeant Apone takes command while Private Drake cracks jokes showing how little they take the alien threat seriously. The only one that shows Ripley any respect is Corporal Hicks, while the others like Private Vazquez call her Snow White and make jokes about the new girl to Corporal Ferro. They sit down in the mess hall when the science officer Bishop's asked to show off his skill in five-finger fillet while Marines hold down Private Hudson. The officer never misses and joins Ripley, who's traumatized to learn that he's a synthetic human, as she's had bad experiences with them in the past. Bishop promises her that he's the new generation and capable of hurting humans, but Ripley tells him to stay away from her. On arrival at the planet, Ripley tells the Marines about the aliens called xenomorphs by Gorman. The undisciplined soldiers continue not to take the mission seriously and load their dropship for the trip down. Ripley displays her skills on a power loader, impressing both Hicks and Apone with her ability to operate it. Private Frost and the other Marines gear up and all board an armored personnel carrier operated by Bishop. Ferro pilots the dropship down to the planet when Gorman's revealed to be a paper lieutenant with no actual experience. They get to the large compound at Hadley's Hope and on touchdown instantly depart aboard the APC. The Marines exit while Ripley and the non-military personnel remain on board until the coast is clear. Upon entering the compound, they do a sweep of the building using motion trackers. They locate an acid burn straight through several levels, implying that aliens were the attackers. Since the building's deemed safe for now, the APC moves in and everyone takes shelter inside. With Ripley visibly disturbed by the notion of another living xenomorph, they come across the medical lab and find several facehuggers, proving Ripley's story to be true, and that the scientists stationed at the facility were conducting tests on living specimens. Just then, Frost picks up movement on the sensor and they approach it cautiously. At first sight, Drake opens fire, but it's just Rebecca, having survived the attack by hiding in the ventilation. She's terrified and flees into her hiding spot, where Ripley follows and manages to calm her. While one of the Marines, Spunkmeyer, assists Bishop in dissecting one of the specimens, Ripley's told by the girl who calls herself Newt that her parents are dead. Hudson uses a computer to locate what appears to be the entire town's population gathered underneath the facility's primary heat source. The team take the APC to the massive atmosphere processor used to terraform the planet, and this time enter the same way, but leaving Newt on board with the others. While searching the building, the team come across an organic secretion slowly turning the facility into an alien nest. Ripley reminds them that the place is a giant nuclear reactor, so the Marines are told by Hudson to only use flamethrowers so they don't pierce the cooling tanks. As the team reach the basement, they find the dead bodies of the colonists cocooned to the walls, along with hatched eggs and dead alien facehuggers. One colonist is still alive, but upon waking up begins convulsing like Ripley in her dream, and an infant xenomorph bursts its way out of her chest. It's not able to escape though, as the team burn it alive, causing its screams to wake the dormant adults camouflaged within the walls. They begin their attack by first taking Private Dietrich, causing her misfire to burn Frost alive. The bag holding most of their ammunition explodes, killing another 2 Marines and even Apone snatched when they attempt to flee. Gorman panics and freezes, requiring Ripley to drive the APC herself right up to the building's side entrance. The survivors make it to the vehicle, except Drake, who's cut off by a Xeno that when shot by Vazquez spews out acidic blood, killing him. With only 3 Marines left, they drive away with Ripley crushing a xenomorph under the vehicle's wheels. Another tries to enter through the rear and a shotgun blast kills it while melting one of Hudson's arms. They argue about going back for the others, but Ripley says they're already being cocooned like the colonists, and Hudson just wants to protect the company's investment. Ripley suggests nuking the entire site from orbit, and with Hicks being the acting commanding officer, he agrees. They pull over and contact Ferro and Spunkmeyer to collect them with the dropship, but an alien's made it on board and kills both pilots, causing the shuttle to crash into the APC. Assessing the damage, they find that most of their weaponry was destroyed and are told by Newt that they should get back inside, as the aliens mostly come out at night. They hold up inside the facility with automatic sentry guns strategically placed at the entrances to protect them. Hudson starts panicking, so Ripley reminds him that Newt's managed to survive this entire time without any weapons or training. Hicks gives Ripley a locator so that he can find her anywhere inside the complex, and Newt's put to bed. She's scared that the aliens will kidnap her, so Ripley puts the locator on her for some peace of mind. With Gorman recovering from a head injury sustained in the shuttle crash, the group discuss where the aliens come from, with Hudson proposing a large queen laying the eggs. Ripley discovers that Burke wants to take the facehugger back to Earth, and was even the one who sent Newt's parents to investigate the alien spacecraft in an attempt to lay claim after learning of its existence from Ripley. She threatens to expose him when they return to Earth, but is called away by alarm bells as the sentry guns have activated. The room watches as the guns quickly run out of ammunition, but the aliens retreat, not knowing that the humans have run out. Bishop comes up with the plan that if someone can make it to the terraforming tower, they can remote pilot a second shuttle down to the surface and pick them up. Being the only one capable of flying it and being synthetic anyway, Bishop volunteers to crawl through a narrow pipe until he reaches the tower and begins preparing the dropship for rescue. Hicks gives Ripley a lesson in how to use one of their pulse rifles as the two begin developing an attraction for each other. Gorman regains consciousness and feels terrible for his previous behavior, as Ripley finds Newt curled up underneath the bed hiding. She ends up falling asleep beside her and wakes up sometime later to find facehuggers have been released in the room with them. Ripley's able to trap one that leaps at her behind the bed and attempts to escape, but finds they've been locked inside. She signals to the Marines through the cameras, but Burke turns off the monitor to hide his betrayal. Setting off the fire alarm, Ripley's able to get their attention but gets attacked by a facehugger while Newt fends off one of her own. Arriving just in time, Hicks smashes headfirst through the window and Hudson kills Newt's attacker, while they all pry the other from Ripley and destroy it before it can permanently attach to her. They hold Burke prisoner, who admits that he intended to have the facehugger impregnate the girls and smuggle aliens back to Earth. Hearing that he also planned to sabotage the cryopods and kill all of the Marines to keep his secret, Hicks goes to space him when the power cuts off and sensors begin picking up dozens of aliens advancing. They weld the door shut, but Hicks opens a ceiling panel and sees that a swarm have circumvented the defenses and are entering through the roof. The team opens fire, slaughtering dozens of aliens, and are prevented in their escape by Burke sealing them inside. But he turns around to an alien already waiting and is swiftly killed himself. During the gunfight, Hudson's grabbed through a grate in the floor and pulled down through the arms of Hicks. The Corporal then cuts through the lock to escape, and Newt leads the group through air ducts with Vazquez covering the rear. She's attacked through a vertical duct and empties her handgun into the creature, spilling acid all over her leg. Unable to continue, Gorman returns to assist, but they're cut off from the rest of the group and decide to use a grenade on themselves, killing the surrounding xenomorphs and causing Newt to fall into a flooded basement below. Hicks begins to cut through the flooring to gain access, but before they can make it, a large xenomorph warrior emerges behind her, swiping Newt before Ripley can reach her. Bishop's just landing the new shuttle on the planet's surface, so Ripley and Hicks rush to the elevator when an alien jumps at them, but the Marine shoots it. His armor protects him from most of the acid, but a badly injured Hicks is assisted by Ellen onto the shuttle. Determined to rescue Newt from the nest, Ripley duct tapes a pulse rifle to a flamethrower and has Bishop fly her to the atmosphere processor. She's wished good luck by the now cycloptic Hicks and takes the elevator down to the facility's basement. Making her way through the now organic hallways dropping flares, Ripley finds Newt's locator given to her by Hicks and assumes she's dead. Suddenly she hears screaming at a hatching facehugger and makes it in time to kill the creature as well as several advancing warriors who hear the noise. She frees Newt from her cocoon and the two run away from several explosions caused by the facility's failing reactor. They suddenly find themselves standing in a chamber full of eggs with the xenomorph queen still churning them out like a factory. It understands Ripley's threats to burn her children and calls off surrounding alien guards, allowing the humans to leave. But when an egg hatches, Ripley sets the room ablaze and uses the pulsar rifle to destroy any attacking warriors. The entire nest is destroyed when the angry queen detaches from her egg sac and chases Ripley and Newt back to the elevator. It continues to pursue them up the shaft until the girls reach the top and find that the drop ship's not there. Assuming the android abandoned them, the facility's only got minutes left before it self-destructs and the queen's made it to the top. Suddenly Bishop pulls up, having just been circling to avoid any troubles, and the two escape the surface and leave the atmosphere before the reactor causes a nuclear explosion. They get back to the Silico, and after being administered sedatives, Hicks passes out, while Bishop's completely changed Ripley's mind on the worth of synthetics and is a credit to his kind. Just then the queen's tail spears the android through the back as she's stowed away inside the landing gear compartment. She rips Bishop in half, spilling lubricant everywhere, and chases Ripley out of the loading bay. Newt remains trapped inside the bay underneath a floor grate with the creature ripping at it, until Ripley reappears wearing the power loader as armor. The two engage in a battle, with Ripley swatting away the giant hive leader while avoiding strikes from its tail, but when attempting to throw the queen into the airlock, it grabs the loader and drags Ripley down with it. It's trapped beneath the forklift, so Ellen has time to climb up the ladder and hold on while opening the outer doors. The loader along with the queen are both sucked out into space, and almost Newt as well, but she's caught by Bishop's still functioning torso and held until Ripley can close the airlock. For the first time in the movie, Newt doesn't call her Ripley and instead says Mommy, as Bishop congratulates her for being a credit to her kind. The four, including what remains of Bishop, are put into cryopods for the journey back to Earth, and Ripley assures Newt that she'll sleep the entire trip home. And the movie ends.
Get away from her, you